Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Paul, the Canadian Snowman, here with Caesar. Wow, we haven't had to visit Caesar in a while, it feels like. Well, really hasn't been that long, but yeah, Caesar. We just had this new release from Kings and Generals about a week ago, actually, and yeah, I was definitely going to jump on it, but I wanted to wait till the 30 Years of War series ended, which just did yesterday. So if you haven't checked that one, I'd definitely check that out. And if this is like your first video of watching me, you should definitely check the beginning of this series out. So definitely check that playlist out before you watch this video. This has been an awesome series. I'm not sure if this is the last one or it's just like the next installment. I mean, he might release Kings and Generals might release another one like another month. I don't know, but which would be really cool, kind of, because we can keep coming back to kind of relive this series because it's a really epic series. But yeah, really cool stuff. And then we're gonna be on to other things after this video. I'm thinking I've been requested a Rome in 20 minutes for a while now, so I might do that tomorrow. Just the fact that, since I'm doing Caesar Rome, I might as well just go ahead and go ahead and do that one. So I might do Rome in 20 minutes tomorrow. Not guaranteed, but it's kind of what I'm thinking right now. But yeah, we've last left off, I believe, he was in Egypt and won that battle, and I think he's heading home now. But I believe that there is like uprisings or something like in his other territories that was, and then was it Mark Antony is in Rome, but he's not the best leader. So isn't there like uprising there as well? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sure it'll give us a little mini recap when we start this video. But anyways, please hit that like and subscribe, guys. We do some awesome content here. We do well, I think it's awesome content because I love history and these kind of videos. So there's definitely gonna be a lot more different series in the future. We might not always do the I might not always do the series you want, but I'm sure down the line I'll end up doing a series you'd like, hopefully. I only do really one of these like war series at a time. So if you don't like the next one, you might like the one after that, hopefully. So anyways, yeah, like and subscribe, and let's jump into the video, guys. At the Caesar. It's always cool to come back. All right, 3, 2, 1. Let's do
it. Caesar's civil war was very different from any.
What the? Already. Okay. No biggie here, guys. You know how we do it, right? Skip button. That's all we do here.
Any other civil conflict in history, as he not only fought his internal enemies, but had to take on various foreign powers in order to maintain Roman power. While Caesar was stuck in Egypt, another old enemy of Rome, Pontus, attempted to use the civil war to strike back. Ruled by the son of Mithridates VI, Pharnaces II, the Hellenistic kingdom forced Caesar to divert his armies yet again, leading to the famous battles of Nicopolis and Zela. It is our honor to announce that this episode is sponsored by Total War Rome Remastered and Creative Assembly. Rome Total War is deservedly one of the most loved entries in the franchise, so the fact it's being remade is a dream come true. The definitive version of one of the best strategy games ever by clicking the link in the description.
That does look like a cool game, though. I've never seen.
At the end of 48 BC, while Caesar was besieged in Alexandria, the fruits of his victory at Pharsalus seemed to be crumbling. Rome, governed by Antony, was in chaos. The Pompeian faction in North Africa was rebuilding a large army, and there had been rebellions and pro-Pompeian insurrections in Spain and Illyria. Caesar had continuously been recruiting to try and contain the situation, reinstituting legions 1, 2, 3, and 4, some of which were made primarily of ex-Pompeian soldiers. But the problems persisted. One of the most pressing of these problems was in Asia Minor. Son of the infamous enemy of Rome, Mithridates VI, the king of Bosphorus, Pharnaces II, was eager to return Pontus under his control, and he had seized upon the opportunity presented by the civil war and attacked a number of Rome's allies in the area. Caesar's victory could not be so quickly tarnished by a foreign king. Pharnaces had to be dealt with.
Right.
With Caesar trapped in Alexandria, the responsibility fell to his longtime ally, Gnaeus Domitius Calvinus. Domitius had distinguished himself in Caesar's Greek campaign, keeping Scipio's army pinned and commanding Caesar's center at Pharsalus. In recognition of this service, he had been appointed governor of the Roman province of Asia. Soon after his appointment, Pharnaces had gone on the warpath, invading Lesser Armenia and Cappadocia, lands that belonged to the allied Roman kings Deiotarus and Ariobarzanes, respectively. Both had previously supported Pompey in the war against Mithridates and the Civil War, but had been allowed to maintain their positions so long as they paid tribute to Caesar and the Republic. In late 48 BC, Deiotarus came to Domitius requesting Rome's assistance, arguing that he would not be able to pay his tribute if Pharnaces was victorious. Domitius immediately sent a delegation to the king of Bosphorus, demanding that he stop his attack and withdraw. To reinforce this demand, Domitius also began raising an army. He had originally been assigned 3 legions by Caesar, the 35th, 36th, and 37th, formed from some of Pompey's men after Pharsalus, but 2 of these legions had already been dispatched to reinforce Caesar, leaving just the 36th in Asia. To increase his numbers, Domitius hastily levied a legion from Pontus. Deiotarus, who had adopted the Roman military style, training his men in the legion.
This is cool though, because this is the last thing I actually expected from this video. So we're kind of like breaking off and almost like a side quest. So Caesar's not going to be included in this battle. It's just going to be one of his generals. And so far, it looks like he's undermanned. Like, the ones he did have to help him out, are kind of being taken from him to help, Caesar and whatnot. So interesting. Already like a one-on-one battle going on here. Wow, I love all these visuals, man. That's pretty cool. Because I haven't been to this series in a while, so it's like cool. I forgot how cool this was.
Deiotarus, who had adopted the Roman military style, training his men in the legionary tradition, supplied 2 more legions of his own, plus 100 cavalry, with Ariobarzanes contributing a further 10,000 infantry and 100 cavalry. In total, Domitius's army numbered around 30,000 infantry and 1,000 cavalry. All now marched to Pontus to put pressure on Pharnaces. Pharnaces soon replied to Domitius's message, stating that he had withdrawn from Cappadocia, but had taken Lesser Armenia for himself, claiming it as his right through his father's conquests, offering to wait until Caesar arrived to mediate the matter. In reality, Pharnaces had only abandoned Cappadocia because it was too distant from his homeland to be practically defended, while Lesser Armenia was next to his own kingdom. Pharnaces had heard that Domitius had sent 2 of his 3 legions to Caesar, and was confident that the Roman general would not have the quality or quantity of army needed to stop him. Pharnaces' confidence was well-founded. His army was well-trained and experienced, being veterans of over 20 battles. Furthermore, though the exact size of his army is unknown, modern estimates put it at around 20,000, and he certainly had a huge cavalry advantage over Domitius.
So 20,000 versus 30,000, and he has more cavalry, and all his troops are basically veterans. They've been through battles, they know what they're doing. And, and then on the other side, Caesar's men, well, not Caesar's men, but his general's men, they get basically new recruits and kind of all put together, So I think it's kind of like a fair fight, because you got, even though Pontic's army is outnumbered, they just have the better men and the better cavalry. So let's see how this plays out. I'm loving the visuals on this. I forgot how cool the visuals are, man. I know this is from a video game, but come on, it's cool.
Yes.
skip over this right here. It's this game. Nah. Alright.
Domitius saw this offer for what it really was, a facade. He mustered his army and marched to Lesser Armenia, keeping to high ground to prevent any potential ambushes. As he marched, Pharnaces sent a number of delegations, hoping to bribe Domitius with offers of money and treasure. Domitius was resilient, however, replying to Pharnaces that by attacking Rome's allies, he had insulted the Republic and would now pay the consequences. Domitius...
He was gonna bribe him? I mean, where's he gonna go with his money? I mean, Caesar hears of this, man. Caesar gonna hunt him down like a dog, man. Like, there's no way he's taking a bribe. I'm sorry. I mean, I guess he could have took it and went off into no man's land, but man, if you're someone like from Rome or used to that, I guess, Roman lifestyle, you're probably, not gonna want to go off and, live in hiding, even if you're rich. I don't know. And then here we go, closer and closer.
Insulted the Republic and would now pay the consequences. Domitius pushed his army hard, ordering a number of long marches, soon arriving in Lesser Armenia. He encamped 7 miles from the city of Nicopolis, where Pharnaces had gathered his army. The city was located on a plain, but was encircled on 2 sides by mountains. In order to reach the city, Domitius would have to march through a pass in these mountains, presenting Pharnaces with an ideal situation to ambush his enemy. Choosing his best infantry and almost all his cavalry, he had them lie in wait in the pass. To better conceal his plan, Pharnaces also ordered cattle and peasants into the defile to maintain a look of normalcy. He also kept up his facade of finding a diplomatic solution, sending constant peace envoys to Domitius. Unfortunately for Pharnaces, these envoys somewhat backfired, with Domitius staying in camp for a number of days, attempting to genuinely negotiate with Pharnaces' ambassadors. As the days passed, Pharnaces grew increasingly worried that his ambush would be discovered. Not wanting to risk his men, Pharnaces ordered them to withdraw from their positions. He would have to wait to fight a battle in the open.
Wow.
He did not.
Man, like he's ready to get the jump on him, but the whole negotiation thing backfires because I wonder if he would have found out. I mean, I guess eventually, because what's his name, the Roman leader, I'm sure he probably sent out scouts, kind of map out the area and keep an eye on things. So it's definitely a big possibility that they already knew, but then again, they might not have seen him. So interesting that he takes his army, out of the woods and basically is looking for a new battleground, or not a new battleground, but he's going to face him out in the open when he had, I don't know, he had a chance to have, the surprise. I guess he still does, but because he has the home field advantage. He knows his area here, so interesting. I wonder if he'll switch up a little bit and maybe hide his men somewhere else, or I don't know. I like how this battle's kind of shaping out, though.
Wait to fight a battle in the open. He did not have to wait long. Domitius saw that peace would be impossible, and marched his force closer to Nicopolis and began to fortify a second camp. As they began to encamp, Pharnaces' army poured out of the city and drew up for battle. Pharnaces knew that his cavalry was his greatest advantage, and that they would be wasted in the city, but the plains in front of the city would be ideal terrain for them.
So true.
Hastily, Domitius completed his camp, drawing his army inside. It is probable that Domitius had originally planned to besiege Pharnaces inside Nicopolis, and so negate his cavalry advantage. Now it seemed that the tables would be turned, and Domitius would be the one besieged in the fort.
I like this chess match. It's like one person does something, and the other person's like, "Oh, we can't have that," and so they do something to kind of up the other person. They keep trying to up the other person. He wanted to siege the camp, and the other guy's like, "You're not doing that," So they're coming out in the open, and now I wonder how they're going to kind of how they're going to up them again and see if they take this to their advantage now, or how they take the next. I don't know. You know what I'm
The following night, Pharnaces intercepted messengers from Caesar telling Domitius of his situation in Alexandria and requesting immediate reinforcements. Seeing a golden opportunity, Pharnaces let these messengers go, sending them to Domitius. Domitius was now caught in a dilemma. On the one hand, he could keep his force inside the fort, which would better preserve his army, but would mean he would not be able to reinforce Caesar, possibly.
Yeah, because that was just definitely a great move to let I'm sure he's going to say exactly what I'm saying, letting the message go through, because now he knows the dilemma, he's in over there, having to send, his troops over to Caesar. So, Pontus he's in no hurry now. He'll sit back there with his cavalry and kind of like he can control the battlefield, and he doesn't have to make the push. He can sit back there and wait and doesn't have to worry about sieging their little fort thing they got built here. And the Roman general here, he kind of has to make a decision whether he has to send his troops or hurry up and send his troops to Caesar, or kind of hurry up and get a battle going right now, because he doesn't have the he can't just sit back and wait. He's got to make a decision now. So it'd be interesting. Yeah, thinking that he's probably going to go ahead and just hurry up and get a fight, maybe, because if he gets his victory right away, then he can send his troops back with Caesar, and he's already won. So it'd be interesting to see how this plays out.
His army, but would mean he would not be able to reinforce Caesar, possibly jeopardizing the whole Alexandrian campaign. On the other hand, he could leave the fort to try and force a quick battle against Pharnaces before rushing to Caesar, but would first have to fight in open terrain, where Pharnaces' cavalry would have an advantage. Pharnaces had put Domitius in a dangerous position. Seeking to capitalize on it, Pharnaces ordered 2 long trenches to be dug from the walls of Nicopolis to the front of his lines, each 4 feet deep. He placed his infantry between the 2 trenches in one unbroken line, with a further 3 lines of infantry, each behind the center and flanks. His cavalry was put on the extreme flank outside of the trenches. Pharnaces had effectively constructed a funnel that would force a frontal attack and protect the flanks of his infantry, while still allowing his cavalry room to maneuver. It was a brilliant tactic and would be very difficult for Domitius's army to crack. Nevertheless, faced with the option of saving Caesar or preserving his army, Domitius chose Caesar and decamped for battle. He drew his force up in the triple axis, the 36th on the right, the rookie Pontic legion on the left, Deiotarus' legions in the center, and Ariobarzanes' men making up the back lines. Domitius gave the order and his army charged. The 36th, partly made of Pompeian veterans, fought brilliantly against the cavalry opposite them, forcing a way through to the walls of Nicopolis and even beginning to cross the trench, attacking Pharnaces' center. However, these were the only men in Domitius' army having any success. It is not entirely clear what happened to the Pontic legion, but it seems they tried to force a way through the cavalry on their wing, as the 36th had done, but had not.
Man, it's amazing how just having a different leader and different kind of men can make this huge difference. Because they just, the right side here, they just wipe right through them, and the left side, they just can't do it, and they're facing the same amount of people, I mean, I guess we don't know the different leaders. I mean, this leader on this side could be or the men over here could be a whole lot better than the men on this side, but it just kind of, just depending on your troops and your leader, it just shows right there the huge difference it makes. You got them surrounded right here, though, but
force a way through the cavalry on their wing, as the 36th had done, but had not been successful and were pushed into the trench, being attacked from 2 sides by cavalry and infantry. The center was even less successful. Deiotarus' legions and Ariobarzanes' men had put up little resistance,
Wow.
breaking soon after engaging Pharnaces' infantry. With the Roman left and centre now broken, Pharnaces' army now started to surround the 36th Legion. Its experience proved invaluable, however. Forming a fighting circle called Orbis, with the highest ranking officers, including Domitius, in the centre, the 36th cut their way out of the encirclement, fighting their way to nearby rocky hills. Given the difficult terrain, Pharnaces did not press them. It did not matter, as he was victorious. The 36th had lost just 250 men, but Domitius's allies had suffered much more, Deiotarus' men alone losing around 5,000.
Wow.
The Pontic legion had also taken heavy casualties. Caesar says that a number of Roman nobles were killed in the battle, and it is likely that they were officers of the Pontic legion. Gathering the remnants of his army, Domitius retreated back to his province of Asia.
Wow.
Pharnaces immediately capitalized on his victory, seizing his father's old kingdom of Pontus, which Pompey had claimed for Rome. He stormed a number of Roman-held towns, putting many Roman citizens to death, castrating Roman boys, and plundering the treasuries. He would not be able to enjoy his victory for long, however. Roman Asia was probably saved by a revolt led by Pharnaces' son-in-law, Asander, which drew Pharnaces north, postponing the invasion. Caesar, by now, had won the Battle of the Nile and had received word of Domitius' defeat. He was now en route to personally handle the situation.
Oh yeah.
Caesar arrived in Syria, spending a few days sorting out administrative problems in the province before leaving his kinsman Sextus Caesar in control and sailing to Cilicia. Here, he again spent a few days settling local problems before pushing on into Galatia, where he met Deiotarus. The latter was somewhat nervous of Caesar, as he had previously sided with Pompey. The king sought forgiveness, explaining that due to his position in the east, he had little choice but to support Pompey. With customary clemency, Caesar forgave Deiotarus, though he did chide him for his decision. Caesar mustered the remnants of Domitius's army in Pontus at the end of July 47 BC and prepared to march. The 6th Legion, that he had brought with him from Alexandria, had taken many casualties over the years, and more still had been taken seasick after sailing from Syria to Cilicia, reducing their numbers to less than 1,000. The rest of the army was formed by one of the remaining legions of Deiotarus, the remnants of the Pontic Legion, and the 36th. In total, Caesar's army may have numbered somewhere around 15,000, with the 6th and some of the 36th the only ones who could be considered veterans. With Pharnaces' army being larger and more experienced, this would seem likely to be a long and difficult campaign for Caesar.
Right.
Caesar's arrival forced the Bosporan king to stop his movement to the north. Pharnaces was well aware that Caesar was badly needed elsewhere, namely in Rome itself. Aiming to exploit this, Pharnaces attempted to stall Caesar, as he had done with Domitius, hoping that Caesar would be forced to return to Rome soon to deal with the turmoil there. Numerous peace delegations were sent to Caesar, highlighting the fact that Pharnaces had not provided auxiliaries to Pompey and that Pharnaces wanted a peaceful resolution. In response, Caesar said that he would be willing to forgive Pharnaces, but in exchange demanded his full surrender and the return of all taken lands and money. Still wanting to buy as much time as possible, Pharnaces initially agreed to these demands, but deliberately delayed, pushing back the date he planned to withdraw his troops. Caesar quickly saw through this charade. Never one for wasting time, he decided to follow his tried and tested method, to find and engage his enemy as quickly as possible.
Oh yeah. Easy here now, guys. Oh man, it's gonna be good now, because now you have to face Caesar, buddy. Not looking good for you, dude.
Pharnaces had made camp near the town of Zela. on the site of a famous victory won by his father against the Romans.
I mean, it's not looking good for him, but he still has the better men, and he has Caesar outnumbered. But this is Caesar we're talking. We've seen Caesar go through some crazy situations where you wouldn't think he would have won, and he comes out on top, man. Like a military genius, pretty much here. So, no, this should be good. This should be good.
On the site of a famous victory won by his father against the Romans. His camp was in a strong defensive position on high ground, with a track linking his camp to the town to maintain his supply line, and a valley protecting his flank. Caesar initially camped 5 miles from this location, but upon his scouts reporting Pharnaces' position, he determined to seize the high ground opposite Pharnaces on the other side of the valley. Supplies needed to build ramparts were collected in the first camp, and then orders were given for the legions to march quickly, without baggage, seizing the new location before Pharnaces had a chance to react. The supplies were then brought up from the first camp, and the legions began work on constructing ramparts along the high ground.
Smart.
Suddenly, Pharnaces drew his army out of camp. Given the terrain between the two camps, Caesar, in his account, is somewhat baffled by this. Nevertheless, he drew up one line of infantry in front of the workers to protect them, confident that Pharnaces would not risk an attack. However, Pharnaces suddenly began marching his men down the side of the valley in battle formation. Again, Caesar in his account is amazed at this strategy. He suggests that Pharnaces may have been influenced by advantageous omens, or that he may have been overly confident given his recent victory over Domitius and the size and experience of his army. When Pharnaces' men began to climb up the valley to Caesar's position, Caesar apparently could not help but laugh at the absurdity of the tactic. Nonetheless, Pharnaces' plan had somewhat worked. Caesar was so astounded that he had not yet recalled the majority of his army from their construction of the defences. Pharnaces' men fell upon the thin defensive line Caesar had placed in front, while Caesar hastily ordered the rest of his army to join the defensive line.
Wow.
As his men rushed forwards, some of Pharnaces' scythed chariots broke through the thin line, initially wreaking havoc among Caesar's men scrambling to get into position. As more of Caesar's men moved forward, however, these chariots found themselves under intense missile fire and were forced to retreat, Caesar's men finally forming a complete battle line, with the 6th on the right, the 36th on the left, and the Pontic and Deiotaryan legion in the centre. Despite the legions having a huge terrain advantage, the fighting against Pharnaces' veterans was bitter, with brutal hand-to-hand fighting across the entire line. Eventually, the 6th, with the height advantage, began forcing their opponents back. Pharnaces' line began to buckle, and soon the centre and left were also being forced down the slope. As Pharnaces' men attempted to retreat, many lost their footing, only to be crushed by their comrades with the legions bearing down upon them. Soon, Pharnaces' entire army broke, throwing a...
Yeah, why did Pharnaces do that? I mean, I think it's just common sense, just like in general, if the other guy has the high ground, they have the advantage. So I don't understand the walking straight up the hill when I guess he was overconfident, I guess, or and Caesar, was in such disbelief that it took him forever to get his backup down there to help, and he was laughing. That's funny how that's part of the account that he laughed. Yeah, but I don't it just seems like something like so different from the previous battle he won. Like he had the tactics going on, like he was being very smart in the previous battle, like making those ditches, those trenches, and in this one, he just like, oh well, we'll just walk up the hill and we'll beat them, like. But like you'd think that this is Caesar he's going. It's not one of his his generals. This is Caesar, that he'd have to be even more cautious. But it wasn't the case, so it's just kind of confusing of why he would do that. I guess we'll never know, but it maybe is an omen because or not omen, but like a sign of the gods, maybe the eclipse or something. And obviously, they probably would have mentioned that, but it's one, one of those kind of signs, But anyways,
bearing down upon them. Soon, Pharnaces' entire army broke, throwing aside their weapons to try and more easily climb back up the valley to their camp. Caesar ordered his men to pursue, pushing up the hill and storming the camp, killing the few men Pharnaces had left to guard it. Almost all of Pharnaces' army had been killed or captured, though the king himself had managed to escape. Caesar had only taken light casualties.
Wow.
The campaign initially seemed that it could take months and numerous battles to complete. Indeed, the Mithridatic Wars that Rome had waged against Pharnaces' father had spanned 25 years, and Pompey had spent 3 years campaigning in Asia Minor and securing the region for Rome. Caesar's campaign had lasted just 5 days since he arrived in Pontus, with the entire enemy force defeated in a day. Though the victory was more a result of Pharnaces' rather baffling strategy than any brilliant generalship from Caesar, Caesar was never one to miss out on a propaganda opportunity. A simple message was spread through Rome, proclaiming Caesar's success. Veni Vidi Vici. I came, I saw, I conquered.
That's what I mean. Because, I saw that when I was searching for, I don't know, like I guess I was like put in the name of what the episode's called on my search bar, and then I just pick up a random picture that pops up, and the Veni Vidi Vici, popped up, and I was like, what is that? Like, what is this? What is this? And it just showed me, So that's interesting. Wow, 5 days with all these other like times it took years or months, and I mean you can't blame them. Like I said, like anyone probably could have any one of his other generals probably could have won this battle with how Barnacle just walked up there. It's like just baffling of why he did that, and Caesar was just doing what I guess any general would have done. Okay, you want to attack us when we have the higher ground? I'll fight you. So wow, I was expecting some kind of crazy tactical battle, but I guess not. Huh? Because just from the previous battle, like I said, you think that I don't know, man.
Was spread through Rome, proclaiming Caesar's success. Veni Vidi Vici. I came, I saw, I conquered.
That's awesome. I love that saying. I need a t-shirt like that.
After the battle, Pharnaces attempted to retreat to the north, but was chased by Domitius. With few options left, he had to abandon Sinope. Pharnaces then sailed to Bosphorus to raise another army, and even had some success before he was defeated and killed by Asander. In response to the events in Bosphorus, Caesar appointed Mithridates of Pergamum, who was invaluable during the campaign in Egypt, the king of Bosphorus.
Nice.
In the time Caesar had spent in Egypt and Asia Minor, the situation in Spain and Illyria had also improved. Lepidus, the future triumvir and current governor of Hispania Caetiria, had intervened in Hispania Ulteria, stabilizing the region. Trebonius had been assigned to replace Longinus, who was dismissed and died in a storm while leaving the province.
Wow.
Meanwhile, another of Caesar's lieutenants, Vatinius, had gathered a fleet, and the veterans left in Brundisium who had been too sick to join Caesar in Greece to confront Octavius. The veterans had proved their worth, winning a quick naval victory over Octavius, securing Illyricum, and forcing Octavius to retreat to North Africa. With these areas secured, Caesar could now begin to turn his attention to the last remaining threat, the Pompeian faction in North Africa. But firstly, he was needed in Rome. Antony's governance had been disastrous, and Caesar could not afford to embark on another campaign with Rome in turmoil. Caesar left the 36th and Pontic Legion in Asia Minor, ordering the 6th back to Italy, following them shortly afterwards. More videos on the Great Roman Civil War are on the way, so make sure you are subscribed and have pressed the bell.
Yes, we got more coming out. That's a good deal. I liked it. It's kind of like watching like a season where you have to wait, watching a series where you're kind of waiting for like the next season to come out. That's basically what this is. So we're kind of caught up. You know, it's like we kind of were interested in a series, so we watched like the first like 5 seasons, and there's still like a couple more seasons to go. But we have to wait for like the release now because we're caught up. So it's kind of like how that is right now. So that's kind of really cool. So we'll be back with more Caesar guys for sure. You know, so stay tuned. And you guys are really awesome at in the comments letting me know when one's released. I had a bunch of you guys let me know this was released, so thank you very much because I probably wouldn't even have noticed. So I really appreciate the heads up there. So I hope you guys have been enjoying this series. You know, I know it's been a while since we're here, but we'll be back to it. Please hit that like and subscribe and stay tuned. And definitely cool. Like I've said before throughout this video, those battles, man, it's just kind of night and day between the two battles of just the tactics. And I don't want to like repeat what I've said already a couple of times with that, but definitely awesome video. I I missed this. I missed the Caesar videos. It's just really cool, you know. So, anyways, guys, like and subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow. See you guys tomorrow. We'll see what's going on tomorrow. So, peace. You guys have a good night, and I am out of here. Thanks for watching. You guys are awesome.